today's project is going to be the little card that fits in our hanging frame that we've been doing each month. Technically this should have been last week's project, but as I was keen to try out some new products last week, I've skipped it and pushed it through to this week. So the word that I've chosen for my prompt this month is imagine, and I'm going to do a little background with some alcohol inks on some glossy cardstock. We're going to be stamping. I've got some of the new 2019 visible image stamps I want to use. And I thought, you know, because they're quite striking and bold stamps, it would be fun to make a bright abstract background. So I've got together some alcohol inks in some bright colours. We've got limeade, watermelon, raspberry, sunshine yellow, sailboat blue and stream. Those are the 6 that I've picked out. I've also got some isopropyl alcohol. You could use blending solution if you want to. I've got a little pipette for my alcohol. I've got a drinking straw that I'm going to use to move the ink about on my glossy cardstock. This is some Creative Expressions glossy cardstock suitable for alcohol inks. You could use Yupo, the Ranger alcohol ink substrates, any of those would be great. I've got my little template ready to trim this down to fit in my frame when we've finished, because it needs to be 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. I've just cut my glossy cardstock slightly bigger than that and I can trim it down. I've also got a white gel pen for adding some highlights and a StazOn ink pad in jet black for stamping the stamped images onto my cardstock. I was going to use an alphabet stamp to stamp the word imagine, but I dug out a really old visible image stamp and I'm going to just trim this down because this is not, if I cut the D off imagined and just crop it down, it's the perfect size for what I want. So I'm going to do that. But first of all, we're going to create the background. This is, you know, quick and easy. You can do this, create a whole batch of backgrounds and just have them ready for whenever you need them. And, you know, I haven't used my alcohol inks for a while and I just thought, oh, this would be absolutely fun idea to do. So what I'm going to do is drip some ink and then just use the drinking straw to move it about. So apologies if my head will keep coming into shot while I'm doing this, but can't be helped. I've got to bend down and do it. I'm just going to work my way over the surface of the card until I've covered it all with an assortment of different colours. As the colours overlap on top of each other, it creates different colours and it's just a nice sort of kaleidoscope effect. Don't forget to take deep breaths and get some air back into your lungs in between blowing with the straw. It can be quite hard work. So I'm quite happy with that. The majority of my surface is covered with ink now. There's a few white spots, but nothing major. So I'm now going to put a little bit of my isopropyl alcohol into a pipette and just lightly tap the pipette over the surface just to create a little bit more variation of pattern. And as you can see, when it hits the surface, it just causes like a dotted pattern. If I just lift that up a little closer, you can see, and just leaving that to dry. It shouldn't take too long. So now that my piece of glossy cardstock is dry, I've trimmed it down according to the measurements on my template, which is 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. So I know that this is now going to fit in my frame. And I'm just going to be using the stamping platform because I want to use this stamp here. This is the circular design. I'm going to stamp it down as a border down one side. And the easiest way to do that is on a stamping platform, because I can just keep moving my piece of cardstock down and it's going to be perfectly aligned. So just holding my piece of cardstock in place, it might move. Stays on ink can be a little sticky sometimes. And as I say, just going to ink the stamp up with my jet black Stays On ink pad. And press it down. Just going to do that a second time just to get a nice clear impression. And I'm just going to slide my piece of cardstock down hold it in place again. And move it down the same distance again for a third time. And that's just created a nice border design down the left hand side. And I'm going to highlight the detail in that using my white gel pen. So just move this out of the way. And this is my favourite white gel pen. This is my Uniball Signo Broad. There is a link to this in the Amazon shop fronts in the description below. This is the one that I always go to. Really, really like it. It doesn't clog up. It's a good opaque white, and lots of people do, they do class this as their favourite. Now I've coloured in all my dots with my white gel pen. I'm just going to set that aside to just finish drying off. And I want to stamp the large flower design. And I want the flower to be white, so I'm just going to stamp this onto another piece of glossy card. This is the exact same glossy card that I've used from the background with the alcohol inks. I am going to stamp the image directly onto my coloured piece as well once this gel pen is finished drying. But I want to be able to cut out the flower so the flower is white. So again, popped it onto my stamping platform, and I'm just going to stamp with Stays On ink again. And then I can cut the flower out. I don't need to ink all of the stem out because I'm going to be stamping that actually onto my background. As you can see, that's going to give us a nice bright crisp white for the flower. So I'm just going to cut this out along the line, and then I can stamp the flower directly onto my background and layer this over the top. So there's our flower cut out. Just want to check that all my ink is dry. Don't want to smudge that. And just want to reposition this flower so that it's going to be where I want it to be. And I want it to stamp on the right hand side. So just positioning that where I need it to be. Going to ink it up and stamp it directly onto the background. I'm just going to re-ink the stem up again, just to be sure of getting a nice, good, clear impression. And now we can fix our white flower in place. And just gluing that in with the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. And pressing that down. So now I'm going to stamp my word. I only need to ink up the word imagined because I'm going to trim it down. I'm just going to give that a second, and then I'm going to just trim it down with the scissors. And then I'm just going to trim the lengths on the guillotine, and I'll be right back. So I've trimmed my word down. I've just matted it onto a little bit of black cardstock just to frame it off. And I'm going to stick it in place. I've popped a bit of glue on the back. I'm just going to stick that down. All I need to do now is pop my 2 holes in the top, and I'm ready to pop this in the frame. So just using my template as a guide, just going to line that up on top. And just punch through my 2 holes. And I've got a couple of little black ring reinforcers. This is just the We Are Memory Keepers punch that I use. Just punch these out of a little bit of black cardstock. And I just think it finishes them off quite nicely. I'm just going to stick those in place around the holes at the top. And here's our finished card hanging in the frame. I really love the bright colours and the contrast with the black and the white. And, you know, it's a quick and easy, fun background to create using alcohol inks. I do enjoy working on this size as well, a bit bigger than an ATC, but not as big as a canvas or a journal page. So it's quite a quick and easy project to create. If you haven't already checked out January and February's word prompt projects, I'll pop a card up in the corner, but there is a playlist that I'm adding to as I do a new one each month, so don't forget to check that out as well. So as always, if you enjoyed this, leave me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back again next Friday with another project for you. But for now, that's all. Bye.